everybody. Welcome to Friday. We're so glad you guys could be here. Thank you for joining us. Today we are once again missing John. He sends his love and he wishes he could be here for our very own Lorena Massa from Italy. Welcome, Lorena.
Thank you, Ashley.
Yeah, we're so glad that you're here. I think as usual, we're going to go ahead and start with a slideshow. But before we do, I just wanted to tell everybody we have a lot of new people. If you want to pop your questions in the chat here on Zoom or in Facebook, we'll make sure to get them to Lorena. And Lorena, are you okay with questions being asked during
Yes,
your
yes,
demo? Okay.
yes, yes, yes. Don't, no problem for me. Okay.
Awesome. Multi-talented. I love it. All right, cool. We can go ahead and start the slideshow.
All right. We've included in the slideshow mostly portraits, the recent portrait works by Lorena. And as always, we invite everybody, if you have not followed Lorena, she's very active on socials. This is her on Instagram, and this is her also on Facebook. I think I have four artworks here, Lorena. Would you like to share something about each of these pieces here?
Okay. Yes. Okay. This is a big painting because it's a full sheet, and I met this girl during a fair dedicated to the Oriental tradition in Turin. And immediately I like the expression, but also she have this traditional dress. So I asked her if it was possible to take a photo, and she told me yes, of course. So I took this photo, and after some days I prepared the drawing, and I start with this painting. Um, in, I wanted to represent the deep gaze that have this girl. She was focused on something, and for this reason, I create this composition. I put flowers, and I want to create a movement in the composition that help the viewer to see the flowers, but also the center of the painting that is the gaze of this girl. And here I use the indigo blue. I like a lot this color. It's strong and create a really nice effect. And in the upper part, I want to have a light. So here I use the John Brilliant one, this new color that Daniel Smith have done is here. Okay. Here, this painting, the challenge for this painting was to represent the contrast between the light in the lower part of the face and the shadow of the head in the upper part. I don't care about the head or the clothes. They were not so important. But for me was important the smile, the gaze, and the special effect of the shadow. Oh, this is a painting that is really special for me. These two boys are Francesco and Lorenzo, two of my sons. And I took this photo when they are playing together. And I put a light in the lower part, and I create this atmosphere. The center of all is the gaze. Here I can see Francesco because he is the eldest son, and he a gentle boy. He have a lot of care for Lorenzo, and I see in this image that he's a sweet boy. And Lorenzo, that is the little boy, I have to say that often he creates a little bit of chaos in our home. And he always have this gaze that is full of joy of life, but sometimes he do also some mistakes, some trouble. And here I want to create a contrast between the background. Here I use the neutral tint and I believe the McCracken black. So all the background was really strong and the light is very intense. This is another painting that I realized on handmade paper. And the effect that I get, I think it is good because the paper gives me the possibility to have soft mix of the color. For the background, I use granulating color, and I have this texture that is particular. I always pay attention to have some part in light where we can see the white of the paper because I think that this gives more movement to my painting. If I cover all the background, maybe that the effect is a little bit flat. And now here for this painting, I was that is fresh. For this reason, for example, I trace the line of the shoulder, but I didn't finish this part. It's unfinished, it's okay in this way. Okay.
Amazing. Thank
Thank
you
you.
for showing. Does anybody have any questions before she begins? There are so many like the comments are going absolutely crazy. Um, we've got Raffaele in Facebook, and everybody is loving especially the one of your boys. Oh my gosh, my
Yeah.
heart. So you can go ahead and tell us what you're going to be doing today. I'm really excited that you're bringing out the new colors.
Yes.
And we'll be sure to post links to those in both chats. So you can go ahead and get started whenever you're ready.
Okay. Yes, for this session for this moment, I prepare a portrait, of course, and I met this girl during a traditional fair festival that every year is done here where I live. And people put on traditional clothes. There are traditional music and spirituality moment all together. And it's really nice because the woman put this white hat on the head, and also the traditional clothes are really, really nice. For this portrait, I decided to realize this afternoon the eyes and also the mouth because during the other live with the John, I show how I realize this element. And for this moment together, I prefer explain something about the skin tones. And I would like show how I use the new color that the Daniel Smith have done this here. I prepared this only to show you the color. The John Brilliant 1, John Brilliant 2, the color riff. These three colors are perfect for realize the first layer of the skin. but also the manganese violet mixed with the earthly light red give me the possibility to obtain a really nice shadow color for the skin. Okay, this the manganese violet and cobalt green deep are granulating color, but this is not a problem because if I mix these two colors together with the coral reef, I lose a little bit the granulating effect. And for this reason, the is not a problem. Sometimes I explain that I pay attention to the color that I use for the skin because granulating color or can create some marks that are not so good. But in this case, the color reef helped me to create a really soft effect for the skin. The color reef is semi-transparent. If you look at the composition, you can see that we have the pyrrole orange mixed to the titanium white. For this reason, is a semi-transparent color, and I think that is a really interesting color. John have made really good gift for us for the artist who paint portrait because this color is perfect. Usually, if I show you my palette, for the first skin tone, I mix the quinacridone pink and the new gamboge. And this color is more vibrant and is transparent. But if sometimes some people have problem to create the right mix, and for this reason, I believe that the coral reef is perfect. Now I can start, and I show you how we can use this color. Time I prepare my reference image. Put the reference image on the chat so you can see the photo of this girl. Well, now I wet the paper. Here in Italy is cold and there is not a lot of humidity. So I think that the paper will dry really fast. And for this reason, I check that is wet very well. I always use natural brush because they help me to put a lot of water on the paper. Now I check all the surface is wet. So, it's also important to check there aren't dots of water because they can create some marks and for this reason I usually wet the paper. I wait 1 minute and then I check. You can see that I have wet all the paper, the surface, but not here where I have the eyes and also the mouth. Here the paper is dry. Start with the coral reef. Um, One characteristic of this color that I like is that it is a static color. I put it and it stay where I put. Sometimes some colors like indigo, when I put on the wet paper, the color spread a lot, and this may be dangerous. In this case, the color reef have a different effect. I put it and it stay where I put the color. I, I prepared the drawing today and I spent a lot of time for the drawing because the I check the light, where are the light, the position of every single detail, because I think that if you realize a good drawing, after you can paint without be afraid, and you have not to check if the elements are right, are correct. Okay. Now the paper wet, but the quantity of water is a little bit reduced, and I can add some other strokes of color in this way. With the color is a little bit more thick, is thicker. Say that in this period I discovered the opaque color, and they are not so bad. The light here create a reflection because you can see that the paper is perfectly wet. I check where in the reference image I see the shadow here, here, where is here? The final part of the nose, this part, here, the chin, the neck, here under the mouth. There are some area where every time there is a shadow. So I put, okay. Now I add a little bit of John Brilliant one. He helped me to create a cooler color. And I check, for example, this area, because it's important that I don't lose light. I can do this for you so you can see. Okay. You can see from the camera that the color is really natural. And I use this yellow, create a connection between the area in the shadow and the area where there is a strong light. Check, you can see that I use a big brush, but always I use only the final part of the brush and I work in this way. The brush is flat. You can see, okay, in this way. So I can put the color on the paper and I can create a soft passage between the colors. Yeah. Okay, now I use the manganese violet. The coral reef. You can see that here the color spread where I have the hair. This is not a problem because here are darker and I will cover them. I will cover this color during the second step. So when John gave me this color, I immediately understand understand that are color really perfect for the portrait. Because also another characteristic of this color is that they are not so staining. And I can, if I create have a mistake, I can remove this color. Now I show you. For example, if here I want to create a light with my brush, I can do this movement, and you can see that I remove the color and I have the light. This is another characteristic that is a good characteristic for us.
Lorena, mi chiedono che pennelli hai usato per gli occhi e le labbra stamattina.
Okay. I this morning I use these two colors, two brushes, excuse me. This is a synthetic brush, and this is Kolinsky, a natural brush. I use the synthetic brush if I have to create some really thin lines, but if I have to put the color, I usually prefer the natural brush. The paper in some part is still humid, in other no. But this is not a problem. I work here and then I will wet the paper. It's not a problem. Okay. Okay, now the paper is wet in some part. Here, for example, is wet. The paper is glossy, but here is matte. So I think it's better that I wait because I don't like the marks on the skin. So now I paint the hair and then I will return on the skin. We can do this. We have time. Yes.
Sì, hai 35 minuti.
Okay, thank you. We have time. Yesterday I had to paint very fast. Now I use a little bit ultramarine blue and I put a little bit of color here in the background. I think that the gaze is in this direction, and for this reason, I put a little bit of blue here and also a little bit here because I want to create the movement, okay, that help me to have a connection. I think that is a good solution. I use the ultramarine blue because here in the iris is made with blue. It's always important to use color that are also in other part of the painting. I always say this to my student. Maybe that we love a color and we want to put it in some part, but it's important put some stroke in the background, on the subject, maybe something in the hair or on the clothes, because these create a connection. The problem sometimes is that I put a color in, for example, I don't know, in the eyes, and if I have the color already in these two elements and not in the other part of the painting, when I look at my subject, immediately I see this color because there is not a connection with the others part of the painting, and I think that is not is not a good thing. So I put
Lorena, excuse
yes,
me, which blue did you use for the background?
ultramarine blue.
Perfect. Thank you. There's another question in Facebook from Sylvia. She said, beautiful, Lorena. How do you keep your Kolinsky rigger style brushes sharp? The small
The
brushes, I believe.
yes,
Yes. How do you
yes.
keep them sharp?
Mm, them sharp. Sorry, I don't understand. Maybe Letizia, say me what's the
Come
meaning.
fai a tenere la punta del pennello così a potto, così precisa?
Okay, okay, sorry. Okay, it's important that every time I use my brush and when I finish, I clean, I wash, and then I do this. And I put my brush on the table in this way. Okay, this is really, really important. Sometimes I know that my students do this. They use the brush and then they put it in this way in the jar of the water. This is really wrong because the brush change the shape and we lose the final part that in this way you can see is perfect. Sometimes I use also my finger. I do this. Okay. If you pay attention to your brush, especially if they are natural brush, they have a really, really long life. So keep attention. Okay.
Thank you. That's really good advice about how to care for your brushes.
Yes. Okay, excuse me. Check the humidity of the paper. Here the paper is yet dry, so I add a little bit of paper so I can paint the hair. I create a mix with the healthy red and the manganese violet. And I use this brush. You can see it's a synthetic brush and is an angle brush. This helped me to create this movement. The color spread a little bit, but this is not a problem for me because this color is not so dark. And I do the movement this way so you can see in this way. It's really important the movement that I do with my brush, the movement of my hand. Attention to maintain some light area and put these strokes in the right direction. This is another element really important when you paint hair. If I give the movement in the right direction immediately, I have the sensation of the movement of the strand of the hair. This is important. Here, with this color, I create also a connection, you can see, between the skin and the hair. This is another element that is important.
Just a quick time check. You still have 25 minutes.
Okay,
You're doing great.
now I will create a color is darker and I mix the cobalt green deep and the earthy light red. And you can see that I get this brown. I check and I add some stroke of this dark color. I don't know if you have ever used this brush or if it's new for you, but you can try to use it. It's really, really nice. Because I can use it in this way and I create a big stroke. But if I need, I can use in this way and I get thin line that are really natural for the hair. Right, some ears. Another color that I can add is the yellow jaune brilliant one. It gives me some light. Example here. And here. I can get another color. I mix the earthly light red, the green, and the manganese violet. And I get a darker color. Because here I need to put some shadow, some darker shadow. And I can also, it's not so important, but I want to put some strokes of earthly light red because this girl have red hair. Okay, in this moment it's not important to work in hair, or I feel that is okay. I clean the green, and now I add some shadow also here on this hat. Mm. For this part, I don't know. Maybe later I will decide if add a little bit of ultramarine blue to create contrast, or if put a little bit of this green here and leave that the background is white. In this moment, I am not sure, and I prefer wait. Here, the paper is dry. I check in this way, and I think I feel that the paper is a little bit humid, but it's not more cold. And if the paper is not cold, it means that it is not humid, it's not wet. I can paint on this part, and I think that it's important to start from the neck. Use my I clean my palette in this way. And the position is better this way.
Lorena, in chat mi chiedono che colori hai usato per i denti.
Oh, yes. The teeth are always really difficult. I use a mix of ultramarine blue and cobalt green deep, a really soft mix of these two colors. Is important, use a transparent color like this. And if I can give you an advice, don't use yellow, brown, or gray because the effect is really terrible. And because the teeth, um, if are yellow, are not nice, are not fresh. Okay, so always a soft mix of ultramarine blue and a green, like in this, I use cobalt green deep. It's perfect. Okay, now I mix the coral reef and the earthly red, and I put this shadow here. It's always important that I add a little bit of manganese violet because in this moment here I have a warm color and here I have the violet that is cold, and is not there is not a connection. Okay, so I immediately, the paper is wet, I add the manganese violet this way, and you can see I do the movement in this direction. This is another thing important because help me to create the three-dimensional effect of the neck. Now, oh, I do this. I wet the paper and I return this part. Sometimes when I work, I paint faster. I wet the paper only one time, but I think that is not important paint fast. And for this reason, I always explain to my student, it's not a problem if you wet the paper two times. It's important that you paint in a in a calm way, okay? Without be afraid. The important thing is that the paper have to be really dry. You have to wait, the paper is perfectly dry. Okay, you wet all and you start with another layer. Okay.
Lorena, this is magical watching this come together. It's just, you're amazing.
Thank you. I like painting this way because I can put the color and move the color, find the light, and I have a lot of fun painting in this way. Paint a portrait sometimes is difficult. This is difficult because it's really important to have the similarity with the subject. And sometimes, if I change also a little element, a little bit, we lose the similarity with the subject. And this is something that um, give me the sensation that realize a correct portrait is not easy, but it's a good challenge to try. Now I'm using the John Brilliant shoe, and my subject warm. I like. Now I change. I return on my natural brush. This is the number 8, Tintoretto, and I prepare dark color. I mix manganese violet and earthly uh, light red, and with this color that is thicker, I add some shadow here, here. For example, it's important to put another shadow here under the nose, because if I put this shadow, immediately you have the sensation that the nose is more near to me, to the viewer, okay? So it's important check the position of this shadow. And here, for example, this line is also here. Is
Instant dimples. That was amazing. That's so cool. There's a conversation happening in the chat about how you create soft brush strokes on skin by when you're using your natural hair, the larger brush, you kind of flatten the tip of the brush. Um, can you talk a little bit more about that technique?
Yes, of course, of course. Only 1 minute that I have to put this shadow and I explain you. Okay, I use this brush that is a big brush, okay, and is a natural brush. I use this brush in different way because you have seen. If I have to wet a big part of the painting, I use it in this way. I put my brush in the water and then I put all the brush on the paper, okay? I use all the surface. But if I have to put the color in a small area and I will check the dilution of the color, I do this. I wet my brush, I use this, and I dry it in this way, in a soft way, and I obtain this. The brush is flat, is not more round, but is flat, and I use it in this way, not with a lot of water, but with a small quantity of water and of color. I put the color in the final part of my brush and I can put the color in this way on the paper. Okay? And it's like I create a soft passage. In Italian we say una carezza. Come si dice, Letizia? Come se accarezzassi il foglio.
Oddio,
Gentle touch.
gentle touch.
Okay, gentle touch on the paper. So I don't create marks, but I create this soft passage. And for example, here you can see that there is this stroke. I can also reduce a little bit it in this way. You have to try. It's not difficult. The important thing is understand the density of the color and the quantity of water that you have to put. But it's really, I think that is a good solution, this, because I like have this soft passage in the skin. For example, now it's important to put some shadow. I add a little bit of organic vermilion. Apologize, but this is my favorite red, and I always put a little bit of this color on my painting. Okay. For example, here in the inner part of the eye, I always put a little bit of organic vermilion because it helped me to have a strong gaze. It's more natural, it's interesting. Okay. Also, here a little bit.
Cinque minuti.
Oh, 5 minuti? Ah, ok. Allora devo, I have to, I want to do. I decide that I do this. I wet the paper with this brush. You can see in this moment I wet the paper using my brush in this way. Okay. I wet all here also where I have the hat, the white hat, and I do this with this towel. I remove a little bit the humidity, and then I use the cobalt green and I don't like that this line is perfect. I prefer some area of the green go inside. I think that is more natural. And here now I use a little bit indigo. And um, I put also here a little bit of indigo because I need some shadow area, and with this color I can obtain a strong color. For this reason I choose the indigo. I do this here, and with this color I can also do this. Add some touches here. I will show you another example. The Jaune Brilliant one is a semi-transparent. It's made with the titanium white, semi-transparent. I can use it also to get some light. Now the paper is still wet, and this is a little bit difficult, but if you check, if you see here, I can, you can see here, I get a light over the dark of the color used before. Now, of course, I see that there are some that are important, but I think that the time is finished, and for this reason, maybe that I finish painting, and after I will paint, I will post the finished painting. One thing that is important is this about the teeth, because now they are all with the same color, and this is not correct. Because if you look at my painting, immediately you see this part, this teeth, and the sensation is that they are flat. So it's important reduce them, especially in this part here and here. So I add a little bit of this color. Is made with green, ultramarine blue, and a little bit of manganese violet. And working in this way, you can see that we have results here. The teeth are now, the mouth is round, is not flat. one thing that I don't like is the ear. I need to have more strong contrast.
Lorena, how do
Yes.
you know when your portrait is finished?
This is really difficult question, but yeah, I know. Yes. Um, Usually I paint a portrait and then I put this portrait in another area when I don't see it. And after 1 or 2 days, I check my painting. Immediately I see some elements that I miss, and I decide to add some uh, stroke with strong color that give me the sensation that my subject is alive. Okay, but it's not easy. Sometimes happen that I put color and then I say, okay, I put a little bit of color, and the final result is not a good painting because I think that is, I always say this in a way, the paper and the painting are tired because I work, and is ruined. So it's not easy. I work in this way, step by step, and for this reason, is you I can understand when is time to say stop, but it's not easy. Okay.
Thank you so much. So, would you call this finished right now, or do you have more to do?
Now I will put some here, some strokes with a dark color like this. Maybe something here. But maybe that work also in this way, painting, and here only the drawing made by lapis is not bad. Only maybe here and something on the eye brown, and it's time to say stop.
I love it. So, when you're completely finished, will you be sure to post this on your socials and tag Daniel Smith?
Yes, of
We would
course.
love to see it. And I wanted, before we end, has anybody painted along at home? We would love to see
Yeah,
that.
I'm curious.
Yeah. I